Disclaimer: the points that I make in this video are my own opinions and thoughts. These can be subject to change when new or strong evidence is provided, so please chill out when I say something that could be incorrect or differ from your views. I'm only human. Fairy tales that we all used to read as children had a common chain of events. The princess gets kidnapped by an evil villain, the prince tries to save her, succeeds, and they all live happily ever after. In Beware the Villainess, however, the villain tries to save the princess from the prince. It's quite the confusing concept I've made, but hear me out. Beware the Villainess is a webtoon that centers around the main protagonist, Melissa Podebret, daughter of a duke and fiancée to the crown prince. Despite such high standing, she is also viewed in society as a villainess. One day, a soul was transferred into her body, left to deal with the many consequences and troubles that the previous Melissa Podebret caused. Recognizing her new surroundings as the one from a novel she read, the new Melissa uses her knowledge to get ahead and overcome the mistreatment and abuse from the other characters. Will Melissa be able to overcome her fate, or will the story continue naturally, leading to Melissa being ruined? I know what you're thinking. Yes, this webtoon is an isekai, and yes, it has similarities to My Next Life as a Villainess. All routes lead to doom, in terms of concept and setting, but the differences between the two are in the details. Nevertheless, I will not discuss the comparisons, but rather what makes Beware the Villainess a really good webtoon and why it should be worth reading. I think what makes this webtoon so great are the characters. It literally carries the whole webtoon and it makes it really good. Melissa is an absolutely amazing main character. She has all the characteristics that people would look out for of a main character. Strong, confident, smart, relatable, likable, and most importantly, she is self-sufficient. She can take care of herself. For me personally, I disliked it when main characters would be so helpless and would need all help throughout the story. Like, can my main character just be useful instead of being so inept, needing help from different people just to overcome this obstacle? For me, a main character should be the one leading the charge, being the strongest out of the companions, being useful, the most useful out of the group. Even though Melissa is a character that knows how the story will unfold, she doesn't rely on it and instead prepares for them. She uses her knowledge of the story to get ahead and change events to lean in her favor. She trains with a sword and takes a legendary item that strengthens her. I would describe her personality as a tomboy, a person that is fearless and would do anything to help her own. She is just so well written. I absolutely love how outgoing and forward she can be. I've read stories where the main character is mild-mannered and shy at first, has doubts about himself, and then after many obstacles and improvements, becomes a confident person. But Melissa just does what she wants, doesn't take no crap from anybody, and stays true to who she is throughout the story, and I can appreciate the writer's choice for doing that. Another thing that makes this webtoon amazing is how hilarious it is. The artists really take extra care to include hilarious physical comedy in the webtoon. They use the fact that the opposing male characters are just so ridiculously stupid and insensitive that Melissa has to react so over the top. It makes the moments in the webtoon so funny. To add to that, the supporting characters also act in the most interesting and different ways that makes the reactions between them and Melissa absolutely like gut busting. You have no idea how much I've laughed out loud because of this webtoon. I highly suggest reading this webtoon for the comedy alone. So as I've discussed before, the supporting characters make the story interesting and different, which makes the supporting characters themselves unique and well written. For example, my favorite supporting character, Yona. Because she has the best chemistry with Melissa and her interactions are so funny every time. That's honestly the only reason why I love her is because between her and Melissa, or it's the most funniest back and forth. It's honestly, it feels like a comedy duo The, Yona just rips on Melissa sometimes, like in a friendship kind of way, like proper banter. It always makes me laugh, and it's the closest definition to banter between friends. This is just one of the examples of well-written supporting characters. I definitely think it adds to the comedy and is one of its main strengths. However, despite the comedic moments, the webtoon actually faces some real and serious relationship issues. The writers used the opposing male leads to represent issues such as cheating, stalking behaviors, possessive and obsessive behaviors, just unhealthy behavior between two people. For example, the crown prince in the story treats Melissa, his fiance, absolutely awfully. When Melissa would be invited to the palace to see the crown prince, she would arrive only to see him with another girl. The way the writers had Melissa deal with this was really fascinating and really highlighted how they wanted the reader to view Melissa as a strong woman that didn't take any bullshit. Yeah. When I read this part of the story, I was actually just I was shaking with rage. I don't know why. Maybe just seeing what Melissa had to go through just pissed me off. It really made me angry. Just she didn't deserve it, guys. Just trust me on that. Time and again, the story shows different aspects of unhealthy relationship behaviors, and Melissa always had some way or the other to fix or deal with it. I am a major fan of stories that don't shy away from real life unhealthy issues. It makes the story seem more human. It's out of the realm of fantasy, where the hero is perfect because he's the hero, he's supposed to save the day, and the villain is evil because he's the hero's enemy, so any enemy of the hero is bad. There's actual issues that readers can relate or sympathize with, and it improves the reading experience, in my opinion. I'm not saying that the story has to have these really awful things that makes the story imperfect. It's just for me, it makes me more invested in more invested in the story. It makes me want to invest in the story because I want to sympathize with the characters a lot more because of what they're going through. The writers chose to write dialogue that's more catered to modern times, despite the story being set during the medieval era, and I personally don't mind it. I think it makes it easier to enjoy the content, rather than having the setting affect the dialogue more than it should. Like, for example, in a typical medieval setting, the maid would talk more respectfully towards her master, but between Yona and Melissa, they talk more directly and naturally towards each other. It makes the scene so comfortable to read and really drives home the definition of their relationship, which is a friendship, not master-servant relationship. Even with all of these traits that make the webtoon great, the webtoon does have major flaws that keeps the story from that next level of great. The story formula itself is really basic. I mean, it's just an isekai webtoon where the main character is overpowered and beats everyone. Not really innovative and makes what happens in the story predictable, just like pretty much every isekai with an OP main character. You can just tell, yep, she's just gonna beat him, I guess. It's just really predictable. Another flaw is that the opposing male characters are literal subhuman pieces of shit and are the most unlikable, irredeemable characters ever. The things they do to Melissa and the heroine are absolutely disgusting, and it makes me so hard to hope for redemption and to forgive them. The writers try to vindicate these characters through change, and it doesn't work for me. It's just what they did is so unforgivable to me that I just can't bring myself to like them at all. I sound so salty, but it's just because I like Melissa and everyone else that it's hard for me to just suddenly forgive them for what they did. They're absolutely pieces of. Oh my goodness. It's making me super angry just thinking about it. In conclusion, I think Beware the Villainess is a great webtoon. I would recommend it to anybody. But the story is being carried by its humor and characters. That's really the main selling point, is just how funny it is, how the characters are just super well written, super fun. but it's being held back by the story formula, just basic isekai stuff. It's isekai trash, am I right? And the hopeless opposing male characters, it makes it super super hard to rate it higher, but I would still recommend it to anyone that wants to read it. It's still very fun, enjoyable, and it does have some strong themes in the webtoon that makes it really good to read. So that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Just remember to leave a comment, whatever you want to discuss. Tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm right. I really appreciate any feedback. I just really think that any kind of discussion is helpful, and it really helps me learn more and maybe shift change in what I believe to be right or wrong. Hopefully you guys have a good day, and thanks for watching. See ya.